North Korea again tops the list of the 50 most dangerous countries to follow Jesus. The 2019 watch list released today by Open Doors highlights where action is desperately needed to protect Christians. CBN White House correspondent Ben Kennedy joins us with a closer look. Ben?
Well, Jenna, President Trump has met with many of those leaders whose countries made the list. We're talking about China, Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, and of course, North Korea, to name a few. The Trump administration makes religious freedom a priority. Case in point, fighting for the release of Pastor Andrew Brunson from Turkey. But there is more the government can do, and that's the backbone behind this list.
Oh, you who believe, answer the call.
The spread of radical Islam increases the danger for Christians worldwide.
Many Christians are being killed because of their faith, and I know many families that they have lost so many family members because of their faith.
Father Daniel preaches to nearly 200 families in Iraq, where he faces intense persecution by al-qaeda. You told me many priests are leaving because it's quite frankly not safe. Why are you staying?
Well, I'm staying because to stay with my people. So this is the only thing which is keeping me staying there and working with them, because they need help now urgently. So if I'm not going to be there, who's going to help them?
Iraq is number 13 on the watch list of countries where Christians face the most persecution. Each year, the watchdog group Open Doors USA documents the most oppressive and restrictive countries for Christians. Topping the list is North Korea, followed by Afghanistan, Somalia, Libya, and Pakistan.
We believe now, based upon our research, that there's over 245 million Christians who live in areas of extreme or high persecution. It's a lot.
He adds that violence against Christians increased dramatically this past year in China.
They moved up from number 41 to number 27 on the list.
That's a big jump.
It's a huge jump, and it shows that things are getting more difficult for China. And it's a big church, so a lot of people, millions of people are affected.
North Korea remains number 1 for the 18th year in a row, despite talks between President Trump and dictator Kim Jong-un.
I would love to see human rights be a part of the discussion when you're talking about nuclear arms, because you can tell within 30, 60, 90 days if conditions have improved for Christians that are in the labor camps. Right now, there's over 60,000 Christians in labor camps in North Korea. A lot of people don't know that.
Vice President Mike Pence does, and today reaffirmed that the White House will always be a champion for people of faith.
Protecting and promoting religious freedom is a foreign policy priority of this administration.
Now, Open Doors continues its efforts, hoping that governments, human rights groups, and other organizations will take notice, get involved, and help believers. For example, Bahrain dropped off the list this year after meeting with Christian leaders to set up a safe space for people to worship. Open Doors CEO says it is really a role model to the Middle East. Jenna?
And Ben, today the U.S. honors National Religious Freedom Day. What is the government doing to observe it?
Well, Jenna, yeah, the U.S. is set to host the second ministerial to advance religious freedom. That will be held on July 16th through the 18th right here in D.C. It'll bring together hundreds of government reps, religious leaders, and even survivors of religious persecution to generate new ideas on how better to protect people of faith. And we'll, of course, keep you posted leading up to the event.
All right, thanks, Ben. And of course, the government shutdown, we have to talk about that. Any new rumblings from President Trump there?
Jenna, I wish I had better news, but not yet. Trump still demands $5 billion for the border wall, and Democrats insist, yeah, they're not going to budge until the government reopens. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, and now there are talks, Ben, the State of the Union could even be in jeopardy. What are you hearing about that?
Yeah, that made headlines, no doubt, today. Speaker Pelosi sent a letter to the president saying they should consider postponing it until the government is opened. No word if the State of the Union will take place on January 29th as planned, but Secretary Nielsen just tweeted out a short time ago that the Department of Homeland Security and U.S. Secret Service are fully prepared to support and secure the State of the Union. I'm not quite sure what kind of impact that will have on the president's decision, but we'll let you know if the date happens to be rescheduled. Jenna?
All right, Ben Kennedy for us at the White House. Thank you, Ben. Well, neither side of the aisle is budging as the longest government shutdown enters its 26th day. CBN News senior Washington correspondent Jennifer Wishon gives us more details on two strategies to find a solution in Congress and which one is working.
Day 26 of the Great American Shutdown and the effects of the partial closing are weighing heavier on federal workers. As the president and congressional Democrats continue making noise, one man is keeping silent, and he may hold the key to finding a solution.
I want President Trump to see his face and the face of all these others.
Political theatrics were on full display today as Democrats in Congress took to the Capitol steps with jumbo photos of federal workers hit by the shutdown.
Mr. President, President Trump, look at the pain and suffering you're causing.
The props were trotted out a day after Democrats refused to meet with the president to discuss a possible way out. The shutdown broke another dubious record Tuesday as service members in the U.S. Coast Guard missed their first paychecks. Operating under the Department of Homeland Security, the Coast Guard continued search and rescue operations.
I was sent home on December 22nd. I haven't worked or been paid since.
In Hampton, Virginia, a furloughed NASA computer scientist says the shutdown may cause the daycare at NASA to close.
Right now, we have no child care for my daughter. She stays at home with me right now, which puts a damper on my ability to look for any kind of temporary work during the shutdown as we have no child care.
After the president invited the press to an Oval Office meeting before the shutdown hit, Democrats have shied away from the presence of cameras during negotiations.
Whether the cameras are there or not, the president has said he will not open the government. He is just sticking to his position and won't budge.
Today, the vice president insisted border security is the administration's top issue.
We will secure the border of the United States of America for the sake of our people, our security, and our sovereignty.
As Democrats play to the grandstands,
open the government.
The Senate Majority Leader is keeping a low profile. Mitch McConnell said Tuesday there's only one way out.
The solution to the problem is for the President of the United States reaches an agreement with the Democratic majority in the House and enough Democrats in the Senate to prevent an agreement. There's no way around that.
This isn't the Kentucky senator's first rodeo. The leader in the Senate knows when the best course of action is to do nothing. And right now, his low-key approach seems to be doing the job, at least when it comes to protecting Republicans from shouldering the blame. Jenna?
Well, the shutdown is starting to have real economic consequences. Administration economists have doubled their projections of how much economic growth is being lost each week as it drags on. Joining us now to talk about this is Stephen Moore, an economist with the Heritage Foundation and a former Trump campaign advisor. Stephen, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Stephen, estimates from the Council of Economic Advisors show the shutdown weighing very heavily on the economy. There's concern it could put an end to the growth. Your thoughts on that?
Well, certainly it's negative for the economy when you have 800,000 people who aren't on the job and working, and obviously they will get paid for the days that they've lost in their subsequent paychecks when the government opens up again. But yeah, this is a negative for the economy. You asked the question whether this could actually cause the economy to go negative, and the answer to that is no. You know, we're going to see a slowdown in the first quarter numbers. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks this will get resolved and Donald Trump will get the money for the border security that the nation needs. And then you're going to see a pickup in the economy in the second quarter to make up for a lot of the economic activity that didn't happen in the first quarter. So I think it's negative for the economy, but I think it's being overblown about how negative it is.
You mentioned the government employees and all of them eventually being paid back. But Stephen, what about those who are outside of the government? You know, for example, people who work at restaurants and businesses near, say, national parks where tourists have stopped coming.
Yeah, that's where you really see the economic hit, is some of these businesses that are seeing a decline in the customers that are coming into their operations. You know, I'm here in Washington, D.C., and I went to my normal coffee shop and I asked the lady behind the counter, how's business? She said they're down 35%, so far this month. And that's a big hit for a small business. So there's going to be some economic pain here, no question about it. My point is that it's short-term, pain, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll get back to normal.
In the long term, what will be the consequences of this shutdown from an economic and political standpoint?
We're going to see GDP a little bit lower this year than it would otherwise be. I estimate maybe 0.1 or 0.2% off of GDP. That's not an insignificant number. Hopefully we can regain some of that as the economy regains speed after the government shutdown is over. But also this depends a lot on how long the shutdown goes on. Every week that it goes on, the pain gets even deeper because, all of these activities, whether it's the TSA people at the airports or people in the passport offices or people are doing other construction projects and so on, those get delayed. And so the effect on the economy increases the longer the shutdown goes on, which is why it's important that they get this resolved as quickly as possible.
Yeah, Stephen, how long do you think this can go on? How long can President Trump, how long can he really ride this out? And will there be a breaking point?
I don't think anyone knows the answer to that question because you'd have to ask Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump the answer to that question. Right now, they seem to not be close at all. And Pelosi has basically said, I'm not negotiating. It's hard to reach a compromise when the other side isn't negotiating. So God forbid this could go on for another 3 or 4 weeks. I hope not, because it would be so easy to solve this crisis. Remember, they're arguing over $4 billion. Now, that's a lot of money, but the cost of the government shutdown is multiple times that. So why not get together, split the difference? Trump gets some of what he wants. Pelosi gets what she wants. But right now, Pelosi is not negotiating. So that makes it very difficult to come to a compromise agreement.
All right, Stephen Moore with the Heritage Foundation. Always good to see you. Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you.
When we come back, Democrats are working to block a pro-Israel bill in the Middle East as a growing anti-Israel movement in Congress gains steam. What Florida Senator Marco Rubio is doing to see it through.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain or knee pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace or knee brace covered by Medicare at little to absolutely no cost to you.
Call 800-358-5058 right now to see if you qualify.
These professional-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, rheumatoid and osteoarthritis, spinal disorders, stenosis, and other painful back problems. Our medical-grade durable knee braces are designed for those with osteoarthritis and general knee pain and weakness. Our accredited staff will handle all of the Medicare paperwork, and best of all, your braces shipped directly to your home for free. Will you qualify for a Medicare-covered back brace or knee brace? There's only one way to find out.
Call the Back and Knee Brace Center at 800-358-5058. That's 800-358-5058.
Are you or a loved one between the ages of 50 to 80 years old? If you are younger than 80 years old, do you receive Social Security, disability, or Medicare? If you answered yes, you may qualify for $30,000 in funeral insurance for only pennies a day. The average funeral costs around $11,000, and Social Security only pays $255, leaving your loved ones to pay the balance. Call now to see if you qualify for $30,000 in funeral expense coverage from Senior Legacy Life. Your rate will never increase, your benefits will never decrease, and there is no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing disease or illness. Don't be a financial burden to your family. Lock in your rate by completing an application over the phone right now. Will you qualify for funeral insurance up to $30,000 for only pennies a day? Find out for free by calling Senior Legacy Life.
Call 1-800-914-7690. That's 1-800-914-7690. 1-800-914-7690.
Young people, millennials, are flocking to church.
It's not an exaggeration to say that we love to meet them and that we love to know their stories.
While parts of the government remain shut down, Senate Democrats are vowing to block any bill not related to government funding. That includes the pro-Israel Strengthening America's Security in the Middle East Act. One Republican senator believes Democrats have another motive for preventing the bill's passage. Here's Capitol Hill correspondent Abigail Robertson.
There's a growing anti-Israel movement known as the Boycott, Divestment and Sanctions, or BDS, and Senator Marco Rubio is alarmed the effort's support is spreading to the U.S.
BDS is a movement around the world to get companies, pressure companies to boycott Israel, meaning not do business there, divest from any investments in Israel or Israeli companies, and to get governments to sanction Israel.
Currently, those behind BDS target companies like Ahava, Caterpillar, HP, and Sabra Hummus, hoping to isolate Israel academically, culturally, economically, and militarily.
It is an anti-Semitic movement.
Joel Griffith of the Heritage Foundation calls it a threat to Israel's security.
Israel, it's a beacon of democracy. It's an area where religious minorities and ethnic minorities enjoy equal rights. And yet that is the country that these individuals have chosen to target.
What do you think the end goal of the BDS movement is?
Well, the end goal, as stated by their founder, Omar Barghouti, is the end of the Jewish state of Israel.
Protesters boast their campaigns have cost Israeli companies billions due to lost contracts and major shareholders divesting.
I'm concerned that we're seeing for the first time at least 2 House members that are openly pro-BDS.
They would be newly elected representatives Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. Tlaib recently told The Intercept she believes the boycotts bring attention to issues like the racism and the international human rights violations by Israel. Senator Rubio included a Combating BDS Act in the first bill the Senate is taking up this year.
We have a law that says that states and local governments can decide not to do any work, meaning no contracts for goods or services with companies that are boycotting or divesting from Israel.
Democrats keep blocking it, however, saying they won't consider any bills unrelated to opening the government. Rubio thinks there's another reason.
I think they're blocking it because they're afraid of radical elements in their own base. There's a growing group of people in the Democratic Party that are anti-Israel openly, and I think they're afraid of them.
Senator Bernie Sanders and Representative Rashida Tlaib say Rubio's bill punishes Americans who exercise their constitutional right to engage in political activity. To which Rubio argues,
the First Amendment, first of all, applies to individuals. This law doesn't apply to individuals. All this law says is you can go ahead and support BDS, but if I'm a city or a state, I don't have to contract with a company that's involved in BDS.
Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, a staunch supporter of Israel, did not answer CBN News' question about his thoughts on the Democrats who openly support the BDS movement. But he did say this about the Combating BDS Act.
I am a co-sponsor, so I've supported it all along.
Congresswoman Tlaib says she plans to go against tradition and lead a House delegation to which she refers to as the Israeli-occupied West Bank. Historically, freshman lawmakers have been invited to spend a week meeting with Israeli leaders. Reporting from Capitol Hill, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
And for more news on all things Israel, tune in to the CBN News Channel. Jerusalem Dateline airs on Friday nights at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Well, more and more Democrats are jumping into what is already a very crowded field for the 2020 nomination. When we come back, the creative lengths some are taking to make a splash as they dive in.
Do you support the president? Do you support Trump's tax plan? Are you concerned it will affect your retirement income in a post-Trump era?
Help protect your financial future and call Annuity General for your complimentary book. From a leading financial firm that shows you ways to not run out of money, whether the market goes up or down. This free book reveals little-known secrets about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms that can protect your money for a lifetime. As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report summarizing the rates and benefits of annuities from hundreds of top-rated insurers, helping you find ways to get up to 33% more income in retirement. Invaluable advice for an uncertain age. That's right, 2 books both absolutely free for calling Annuity General. Help protect your financial future.
Call 800-216-0342. That's 800-216-0342. Call now.
Attention! If you currently do not get health insurance through your employer, or if you do not have health insurance, or if you just got divorced or married, had a baby, moved, or lost your health insurance coverage, listen closely. You are eligible for a new health care plan using Health Insurance America. A family of 4 can make up to $97,000 a year and still qualify for a new health care plan. Get coverage for doctor visits, prescriptions, hospital, dental, and vision for as little as $25 a week with copays as low as $0. Health insurance rates have nearly doubled in the last 3 years. Stop paying the rising cost of traditional major medical and learn how Health Insurance America is saving people thousands of dollars a year on their health care plans. Don't waste hours on the phone or on a government website. Talk to a live healthcare consultant right now.
Call 1-800-940-5020. That's 1-800-940-5020. 1-800-940-5020.
Tikkun Olam.
This is our nature as a country.
To make the world a better place.
Literally, we felt the earth shaking.
The Christian Broadcasting Network presents To Life, how Israeli volunteers are changing the world.
This film needs to be seen by everyone. I was in tears.
Now you can own the inspiring documentary To Life on DVD.
There is blood on our hands if we know and we walk away.
I'm so grateful that this film was made.
To Life can be yours for a gift of $10 or more. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com.
We know that every minute counts to save life.
It'll bless Israel, but it'll also bless all the friends of Israel.
Discover the untold story of how Israeli volunteers are making the world a better place. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com to get your copy today.
Region's first ROTC graduate student.
In the middle of a much talked about shutdown, one part of Washington is wide open: the 2020 presidential election. As Amber Strong shows us, candidates need to figure out how to stand out in an already crowded field.
I am a candidate for President of the United States of America.
From the land of the Alamo to late-night couches.
I'm filing an exploratory committee for President of the United States tonight.
To a cozy kitchen talk.
So, this is my sweetie. Hello.
Democratic candidates are looking for fresh ways to connect with voters in a race that's still a year away.
New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand is the latest entry. She made waves in 2017 after calling out fellow Democrat Al Franken for sexual indiscretions. Now she's leaning into a winning topic for Democrats: health care.
Because as a young mom, I'm going to fight for other people's kids as hard as I would fight for my own, which is why I believe that health care should be a right and not a privilege.
And former Obama HUD Secretary Julian Castro hopes to strike a chord with immigration.
Together we will show that hope can be bigger than fear, that light can be bigger than darkness, and that truth can be bigger than lies.
Then there's former California Attorney General and Senator Kamala Harris.
And our children and our grandchildren will ask, at that inflection moment, where were you?
She's expected to answer that very question on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. If the bingo card of likely candidates brings back memories, it could be because the last time around 17 Republicans slugged it out for the presidency. As we know, there can only be one. According to a December Quinnipiac poll, former VP Joe Biden tops the list of favorable candidates, followed by Senator Bernie Sanders. With that stiff competition, Democrats want their candidacy to stick out. Take a look at life on the southern border through the eyes of Beto O'Rourke's Instagram.
This is my mood mix.
Jam along to Harris's mood mix on Twitter.
A song that lifts my spirits always, Oh Happy Day.
Or come home with Senator Elizabeth Warren.
She announced her intentions in December.
Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
But candidates beware of how you use social media. The commander in tweet will likely be watching and waiting for a time to strike. Amber Strong, CBN News, Washington.
And that is all the time for Faith Nation. Have a great evening.